Hi, this is Anis from Never Stop Trucking. In this video, we will be talking about how CVSA calls for a maximum limit on use on personal conveyance by truck drivers. This is a very hot topic, and anyone who is dealing with safety and compliance in a carrier side of the business, such as I am, will know that this PC, short for personal conveyance, is a big nightmare for safety compliance, for people who interpret this in different rules, and for potential trouble on the road, potential questions by DOT officers, or if someone audits your logbooks and they can ask you 1 million questions and you're not going to have an answer for them. Now, the guidance from the very beginning when the new ELD laws were implemented was very vague. And then after some time, FMCSA said, okay, well, each company right now will have to have their own policy, and then all drivers will have to follow that policy. Okay, and then FMCSA came up with some frequently asked questions, and they had like maybe 10 or 20 questions. It's on their website, and we use that here. But when I talk to our drivers, I use those rules. And basically, the rule is that you got to use your common sense, because personal conveyance is not something that will extend your hours. Personal conveyance is not something that you should use if you're running out of your hours. It's not something for you to use to move somewhere if you don't have hours, or if you don't want to break your 10-hour break, or if you don't want to interrupt your 34-hour reset and you got to move somewhere. No, it's not for that. Personal conveyance is usually, and this is what I tell our drivers, if you, for example, are at a delivery or at a pickup and they don't let you stay there and they tell you, you got to move, you can't stay here, but you ran out of your hours. What are you going to do? You're just going to go to off-duty, choose personal conveyance, and go to the nearest safe spot to park and wait for those 10 hours or 34 hours to pass. And that nearest safe spot is usually close. It's not 2 hours away. It's maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes away, maybe up to an hour. But rarely you're going to have to drive more than 1 hour. And this is in rare circumstances. I have drivers here who will never use PC. Never, ever. And even if they're going to use it, they're going to call me and ask me if it's okay. And that's usually like 15 minutes. I'm like, yeah, dude, just use it. Like you're allowed to. Don't stress about it. Just use it. But then sometimes you'll have drivers who will use it for a long time, like every other day. And that's not okay. Okay? So, common sense. Okay? Also, FMCSA said that you cannot use this to go home. You deliver the load and you want to go home. No, you can't do that. Maybe, like if you're my driver and you call me and say like, hey, I'm like 15 minutes away from my home. Then okay, that's like maybe an exception. And yeah, I'm not going to make you sit close to home and wait for 10 hours. But if your home is 3 hours away, no, you can't use it. Because it's still driving, you still deliver the load. You're not technically under dispatch, but FMCSA clearly gives that example as a no-no. You cannot do that. Okay, let's go into this article from a CDL Life right now. The CVSA recently told Congress that there should be more restrictions on the use of personal conveyance by commercial vehicle drivers following a rise in abuse and misuse of the provision. I 100% agree that there should be a rule that's same for everyone. Finally, don't let us interpret that rule. Don't let drivers interpret that rule, because everyone will do it differently. Most people will tell you something different, okay? Maybe I'm not right by what I said before, but this is only because FMCSA left that open to discussion or assumptions. That's the only reason why most people don't agree. We have to have guidance that will tell us, okay, you can use this in these situations and you cannot use this in those situations. End of story. We need to have limits. You can use the personal conveyance exception for this many miles or this many hours or minutes each day or each week or this many times during a week. And that's it. That's it. Because you can't be in those situations every day. You're not going to go to a receiver and every day they're telling you can't stop here, it's not safe. You got to plan your trips better. Then you got to plan your appointments better with your dispatcher, with your broker, right? You got to plan that trip before you go there. On July 29, 2025, CVCA submitted public comments to the U.S. Senate on the recent hearing, issues impacting the trucking and commercial bus industries in the U.S. This intended to help lawmakers better understand issues facing the trucking industry. The CVSA's comments touched on a variety of trucking topics, including universal electronic vehicle identifiers for commercial vehicles, automated trucks, and ELD certification standards. Notably, the CVSA's comments include a recommendation that federal transportation authorities add a maximum time limit to the use of the personal conveyance exemption in order to reduce the risk of driver fatigue. Opportunities for driver fatigue can be reduced by clarifying the definition of personal conveyance within the FMCSRs by adding a maximum time for its use. Under personal conveyance, a driver is able to use a loaded or unloaded CMV for personal use and count that driving time as off-duty time. With the current definition of personal conveyance, a driver can drive hundreds of miles over the course of several hours under the designation of personal conveyance before, during, or after their workday, putting them at risk for increased levels of fatigue. Now, this being said, let's remind ourselves what the rules are. You can drive 11 hours a day. You can be 14 hours on duty in that day. Okay, so let's say you're allowed to use personal conveyance after delivering a load. So you drove 11 hours, you used your 3 hours on duty, and now you're gonna use 2 hours of personal conveyance to go somewhere. It doesn't matter whether this is for a load or for something personal. That doesn't really matter. What matters is that you worked 14 hours and you're still driving that truck. So in my opinion, it's too much. I drove a truck. I know it's too much. You think it's not, but it adds up every day. 70 hours a week for a driver. That's a lot of time. Most people work 40 hours a week. If they have like 10 hours overtime or more, 15 hours, they will brag. They will say, hey, I'm doing this overtime, I'm working a lot. But hey, 70 hours during a week to be on duty and drive for 55 hours just driving and the rest is on duty, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of time, okay? The CVSA said that inspectors have reported an uptick in abuse and misuse of personal conveyance in recent years. Roadside inspectors see countless examples of this occurring, with drivers claiming they're operating their vehicle for personal use, when in reality they're extending their driving time. Some common examples of personal conveyance abuse include using personal conveyance for up to 10 hours between dropping off loads and going to the next pickup, driving over 2 hours, claiming they're looking for a place to park when there are open spaces along the 2-hour drive, using PC to make up for time lost at loading docks, and switching to PC time just before violating the 11 or 14-hour rule. So that's another no-no. Like people will drive for 11 hours and they realize they cannot drive anymore, and then they're going to switch to personal conveyance. No, you got to plan your time better. You got to stop. You don't have to drive 11 hours. You can drive 10 hours or 10 and a half hours, right? What else? Using personal to make up for time, allowing significant extension of driving time with the use of PC undermines the goals of the hours of service regulations, which exist to mitigate the impacts of fatigue on highway safety. That's what I've been saying. In recent years, CVSA inspectors have observed a rise in personal conveyance abuse and misuse. So yeah, there's a lot more here. I'll try not to forget to include this article in description of this video. But yeah, I know this might sound like a controversial topic. If it is, if you think it is, let me know what you think. Let me know if you think I'm not right. But this has to be regulated, right? We have to know, as safety managers, we have to know what the real rules are and how we have to explain it to drivers as well. This is Anis from Never Stop Trucking. Let me know what you think. See you guys later.